Woods County Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Mark.
Here.
James.
Here.
Brett.
Here.
Eric.
Here.
Dan.
Here.
George.
Here.
Barry.
Here.
Sherelle.
Here.
Tori.
Here.
We have a quorum. We will proceed. Disposition of the minutes from the last meeting. What are your wishes?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor of roll call? Roll call. Karen's not here. Do we still have to do roll call? Okay. Roll call, please.
Barry.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Sherelle.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Tori.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. First item of business. Michelle, when you're ready.
Okay, so this first one we have tonight is LU-0096-25, being Mason Moe, who is requesting a conditional use permit to park his commercial vehicles on the subject property. This is located in the northwest of Section 28, Township 155 North, Range 102 West, which is Mont Township. Mont Township has recommended denial of this project in the present form. They feel Mr. Moe could be allowed to use his property in the manner requested for a limited amount of time and suggested 6 to 9 months. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to park his commercial business vehicles and trailers on the subject property. The applicant anticipates no more than 10 trailers, 2 semis, and 5 pickups parked on the property overnight. The vehicles and trailers would be utilized during the day, and not all of the items would remain during the daytime. The subject property is in the rural residential zoning district and is consisting of 39.09 acres. Access to the subject property can be taken off of 145th Avenue Northwest, which is also known as County Road 1, or off 56th Street Northwest, also known as County Road 6.
Okay. Any questions for Michelle? Hearing none, we'll open the public hearing and ask Mr. Moe to come up to speak. Mason, welcome. Would you, when you get to the mic, would you please state your name for the record?
Mason Moe.
Do you have any comments that you'd like to make to us on your request, sir?
I guess before I parked everything out there, I called and got permission to do so. And I wouldn't have done it if I didn't get permission to do so, I guess, before that.
And was that from the planning and zoning office?
Yeah, I think Michelle. I
Okay.
talked to.
Anything you want to add? And you could certainly come back up if you wish during this open hearing.
Okay. I'll probably come back up, I guess.
Okay.
That's fine.
Anybody else wish to speak to the issue? Anybody else have any comments on this request? Third and final time. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the board.
So is this a temporary parking? Are you building a shop, or is this like the 6 to 9 months? Would that work for you, or I mean, is it something this is more long term, or what?
No, we're not building a shop or nothing like that. I was utilizing one of the buildings out there for oil changes and tire rotation and stuff like that. But that's basically what we've been using it for, is just parking. We had a yard in Wollaston, but they upped the rent on it, and I didn't want to renew that lease. Is when I called to see if I could park it out there.
So with the 9 months, would that give you time to find a different place, or I mean, I don't quite get why, if it's good for 9 months, why it wouldn't be good for 18 or, however long, but
Yeah. Um, I mean, that'd be fine if we got like an 18-month permission to use, I guess.
yeah, I was just curious if this was something to do just to get you through the winter or if there was some more long-term plans or.
Well, I had a long-term plan to keep using it, I guess.
Do you have hard surface there, or what was your plan like in the spring? I mean, it seems to me you're just gonna tear that yard completely up with that many trucks coming and going and out onto the roads and stuff.
Well, we put a lot of crushed concrete and stuff like that down, but I mean, it's no different than any other farmyard that has trucks coming in and out of it every day either. So, and that's what it was used for before I bought the place, and they had semis that parked all over the place out there. So,
Other questions?
Mr. Chair. So you don't have a long-term plan to establish a yard for your business someplace? You want to basically move your business to this farmyard, is that correct?
yes, just having all the stuff parked there, I guess, not like working out of there every day, just having a place for the trucks or trailers and stuff like that to be set.
What kind of a business is this?
It's a trucking company doing stuff in the oil field, I guess.
Question, Your
Hmm.
Honor.
Any other questions, Tori?
This is for Michelle. Do we have any context behind the 6 to 9 months from the township?
That's all they said was the 6 to 9 months. They didn't give any additional information on that.
Any other questions, Mark?
I just you're opening the door for a lot of other stuff coming in down the road, in my opinion.
There would be spot zoning. Mason, I just want to make one comment. The previous owner had asked many times unofficially if that property could be turned into commercial. And the answer was always no. Because it's spot zoning, because it's surrounded by agricultural, and we didn't want to set a precedent of allowing spot zoning in the rural areas. Our goal was always to keep commercial where commercial was, industrial where industrial was, and so on. So there had been discussions about that property in the past. Any other comments or questions, commissioners? Is there, would someone like to make a motion to proceed in one direction or the other?
Make a motion to deny the request, but give them till July 1st to come up with some other area to go to. That'll get you through the winter and into the springtime stuff. Can you work with that?
Yeah. Figure something out, I guess.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Michelle, would that be, what do we call this, a conditional use permit or a informal use permit? Would this suffice to leave a 6-month window for him to find somewhere else? What is your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
We could do it as just like a conditional use permit with an expiration date of July 1st or June 30th or however you would want. And then if he needed more time, say he's waiting for something, he could always come back in front. On this particular one, he did call and ask asked if he could park some of his trucks there. We said, yeah, that should be no problem. And then we got a complaint from a neighbor down the road. So we had to, once we get a complaint, we have to go a different route then.
Thanks, Michelle. Any other comments? Third and final time. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Commissioners, do you wish to have another motion to approve a conditional use permit for 6 months?
You need that, Michelle, or what, can you just leave it in the motion the way it is, or would you rather have the CUP?
Cameron says yes. We would need.
I'll make a motion to give him a CUP until July 1st for that property for his truck trailer storage.
And a second.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call again.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
Item number 2.
Okay, so this next one we have is LU-0098-25, which is Richard Sherman with WP North Dakota A LLC. They're requesting a zone change to urban residential and then a conditional use permit for multifamily dwellings. This is located in Lot 6 of Block 3, being in 13 Mile Center subdivision, which is Section 12, Township 156 North, Range 101 West, being Tyrone Township. Tyrone Township is undecided on their recommendation and state that they will not be responsible for road maintenance or snow removal. The applicant is requesting a zone change to the urban residential zoning district for the approximately 2-acre parcel that is currently within the rural commercial zoning district. The current zoning does not allow multifamily dwellings as a permitted or a conditional use. The applicant is then also requesting a conditional use permit to allow for multifamily dwellings on the subject property. This parcel currently has 6 multifamily units that were previously utilized as employee housing for the travel center located to the south. The previous owners had a hotel motel license through the state of North Dakota and were able to occupy the buildings under that license. The applicant is the current owner and is wanting to make improvements to the buildings in order for them to be back into productive use. The units have been vacant since fall of 2023. Access to the subject property is off of the 13 Mile Center Road Northwest. Also, just a note on this one is on the market and currently under contract. So if approved, the new owner, once they close, will also have to come back and get a conditional use permit under their name.
Okay, any questions for Michelle?
Michelle, do you remember why this was shut down? Wasn't it some permitting issues or something?
I believe it was the permitting because of the state motel and hotel license. It wasn't being ran properly, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Came before us, but I can't remember what it was.
I believe at the time they were renting apartments, but calling it a motel. Cameron, a comment, please.
Yep. Commissioner Barr said you're correct that they did have a state lodging license. They built the facilities roughly around 2012, 2013. The original company, they were never approved for workforce housing, and so instead they went to the state and were able to obtain a lodging license. Throughout the years of having that lodging license, there were multiple fire code violations, and eventually that license was pulled from them. Our office was working on potential enforcement action to have them remove the workforce housing from there because they no longer had a valid state lodging license. And then the parent company filed bankruptcy, and then it went to a bankruptcy sale, and that's where it's at today with the new owners.
The original zoning wasn't set up for it either then?
From my understanding, no. When it was originally built, that area of the county at that time, they were trying to avoid having workforce housing. It was supposed to be more the agricultural corridor as you came into Williston. They still went ahead and built it. This was a time when the building and planning departments are 2 separate departments and didn't always communicate correctly. And building permits were done correctly and issued, but come to find out the zoning was never in place. And the company at the time, from what I can recall, said that they wanted to use it for workforce housing, but when they realized they couldn't, they instead went to the state and they were able to obtain a state lodging license to be operated as a hotel motel. The qualifications, from what I understand, are pretty minimal with that. When you walked into the main gas station, on the manager's door was a piece of paper tape with the state daily lodging rates, and that's how they were able to advertise it as a hotel. Although, from my understanding, it was always employees that lived there.
So these people want to make a motel or housing now?
The new current owner is what Michelle presented.
Yeah, they would like to do multifamily like apartment complex because that's really how they are built.
Yeah, they have a shared kitchen and I've been in them before through inspections, I think 4 or 5 bedrooms and a shared common area in each of those units. They're split, so there's 2 per unit. Yep.
I'm representing the buyer who would be, and I'm also a North Dakota licensed contractor, and I've renovated 12-plex and 5
Let me interrupt you for a second. Please come up, state your name for the record, and then we'll open, after your comments, we'll open the public hearing for comments from the public. Okay?
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Tashina Greaves, broker owner of Williston Basin Realty, and also a North Dakota licensed contractor with TG Contractor Services, and I own a property management company. I'm working with the buyer on this, and we want to renovate it once we purchase it on January 2nd. I'm representing the investor buyer, but this is kind of dependent on the meeting tonight, you know, what we can do and move forward. But we would like a conditional use permit and plan to submit an application once we close. But we would like to help beautify the area, not have abandoned buildings, and use it for housing, which I would also be managing and overseeing the construction part of it, which I have 18 years of experience in the area doing.
Okay, any questions for the applicant?
I'm not the current applicant, but will be in a month or so.
How about any questions for the young lady carrying the ball? How would that be? Commissioners? If not, if you'd like to sit back down, I'll open the public hearing, see if there's any public comments. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for presenting. Cameron, anything else?
Yeah, just to clarify, we were made aware of it, was it this week or last week, that it's potentially for sale again. And so when we received the application, it was this Richard Sherman with WP North Dakota LLC that applied. And so if a CUP is granted tonight, the CUP would be to this company here. If it were to close on January 2nd, they would have to come to this board again because that's a non-transferable CUP. So I just wanted to make the board aware of that it would have to be heard again. So we weren't made aware of that in time to change anything. We were just made aware of that.
Okay, thank you, Cameron. Yep. Any questions for Cameron? If not, I'm going to open the public hearing. Any member of the public wish to speak to this issue? Any comments from the public? Third and final time. Any comments? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Turn it over to the board.
I guess I'm confused. Tashina, are you representing this Richard Sherman, or are you representing a different person?
I am representing the buyer who is purchasing from Richard Sherman. So I am representing the buyer who is closing, who will then own it on January 2nd of 2026. And then we will.
Yeah, it's a third person involved.
So Richard Sherman is the owner on record right now?
He is the current owner on record,
Oh,
yes.
now I understand. Okay.
Commissioners, other questions?
Well, this isn't really related to zone change, but I wonder what they're going to do for sound control with all those trucks right next to it.
George, I think you're going to have to speak into the mic, at least for me. And if the young lady wants to answer, would you please come forward to answer questions, if you would, please? Because we're all the discussion is recorded in the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
George, please ask it again.
Yeah, I would. It's probably we're dealing with a zone change, but I'm wondering about what you're going to do for sound control because you're right up against the parking lot for a bunch of semis.
We are right against the parking lot. There's probably about 300 to 400 feet from where these properties, the four on the west sit, so that one sits closest. But I've been out there multiple times. I reside in Crosby, so I drive that route a few times a week. But I am from Williston, born and raised. But we don't think that a lot of those trucks that park there would be running, full time. So we don't personally have an issue with the sound. And they were pretty well built. I've been out there quite a few times, inspected them. Right now there's broken windows. People have been vandalizing them, robbing furnaces, appliances. There's, you can't drive in that parking lot even though it's chained off because you would ran over nails or pieces of, 2x4s with nails sticking out, glass pieces. Right now, I think that, but the insides and the out, they're in decent condition, but there are at least a couple windows from each of the buildings out and the doors broken and, but we plan to fix them up and put security cameras out there first thing so that we do not have any vandalized. We plan to start with one building and then move to the second building. I have a crew already and we could have the first building done within 2 months. And that is a central hub. Plus, I manage quite a few properties in Tioga for NVN and Dan Carroll. Right now, he has about 50 mobile homes in Tioga, about 12 in Ray. All of them are filled. There's basically no rental properties in Ray or Tioga. They also discovered that large reservoir of oil beneath Zoll and Ganora in that general location, which they've been working. There is not a lot of housing there since both those towns are very small. So I see a lot of overflow into the Crosby area, which I have about 60 units I manage there. And we only have currently 2 vacant apartments out of those. And I manage properties in Ganora as well. But it's such a limited housing in that area. Plus, there's a lot of permits that have been taken out recently in Divide County and in the northern and northeastern Williams County. And it's kind of like the 13 miles always been kind of a hub since they have built that. And these properties were built in 2013, and there just really hasn't been much done with them. So I think that it would be a good idea to fix them up and, have them as extra housing because we do have there is a demand and there is low supply of housing for rentals in the area. And each building has 12 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms.
Further questions?
You do realize that the township wants nothing to do with maintenance for roads or any of that stuff? So
Yep.
you guys are kind of on your own for that?
No road maintenance and no snow removal. I did hear, thank you, but I did hear you say that brought up. But we do know that, and I have people that I can figure it out with the maintenance and the snow removal. But I have multiple people that have loaders and plows and I manage quite a few rental properties here in Williston as well. Thank you. No, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention again because that's a big deal.
Other questions?
So these are going to be, if this were to happen, these will be rented out as apartments then, or just
Apartments, yes.
Apartments.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you?
To try to bring families to the area,
Sure, but I mean,
and some might be company housing.
well, that's what I was getting at. If you have 12 bedrooms and a shared common room for the kitchen or living room.
There's currently 2 2-bedroom apartments, 2 4-bedroom apartments, and 6 6-bedroom apartments.
I was just worried that we're backing up into man camps.
We do not plan to go that route at all. We plan to bring families, and if we have to have stipulation in the conditional use permit once we submit our application, we can definitely put that it would not be used for man camps and that we're willing to do and abide by the neighbors of the community and also by the county and your recommendations.
As you rehabilitate these buildings, are you gonna change the interior walls and reconfigure them?
No.
Or just the way they are?
Correct.
Okay. One other question. When these were built, was all of the complex under the same ownership with the pilot truck stop? Or was it a separate entity at that time?
From the documents that it's been very hard to find information on these properties, but I did get the certificate of occupancy, and they were submitted at the same time as the pilot gas station with these 6 buildings under a joint 2-page form of a certificate of occupancy, which does specifically note the 6 apartment buildings. So I'm assuming that it would have been at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sherelle, please.
Do you have any plans? As I recall from being out there, I don't believe there's any fencing around this to separate it from the truck stop.
There is no fencing, but we plan to put up first thing before we even start work out there because people are breaking in and robbing. Of course, that's going to happen more during the summer months than in middle of winter, maybe. But, because they're not heated currently. They do have MDU. They do have Montreal Williams connected to the buildings and 2 meters for each building. We just have to have the meters put back in. They do have rural water on a central rural water system with the 13-mile HOA and also a septic that is a central community septic with the 13-mile HOA. But as of now, we do not plan to fence around them because the access is over on the north side. And then you have to go down quite a bit past the parking in the back before you even get to the gas station. And not a lot of people utilize that back parking area. I've noticed from driving by there. They're more parked on the side or, over in the front area or on the east side. But we do not we plan to have security cameras and a sign saying no trespassing, private property. So that's the route that we plan to go.
Do you have any plans to develop an area that would be suitable for kids playing outside? Like park, playground, fence, playground, or anything like that?
We definitely are still thinking on different ideas. We would like to make it, child friendly. And that's something that we plan to look at in the future, as well as landscaping and, some sort of fence. But our first plan is to get one building renovated and in operable condition to move in for occupancy.
Good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had one, I had one question.
Please.
So when you close on this property, as part of that closing, do you have a financing or cash available ready to go so that you can start making the improvements right away?
We do, yes. It is a cash buyer.
Any other questions? We closed the public hearing, correct? Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, how do you wish to proceed?
I keep looking at this, trying to figure out if someone can tell me the difference between a man camp and this. You've got one common area with a bunch of rooms.
There's two. It's not one common area. One building has a 2-bedroom, 1 kitchen, 1 bathroom, 1 laundry room, 1 maintenance room, and 2 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms. And there's 2 of those in one building. So there's 2 2-bedroom apartments in one building. And then there's also 2 4-bedroom apartments in that same building, which also have their own living room, kitchen, dining room, laundry room. And then the other 3 buildings, they are split up in half. So then you have a kitchen, dining room, but a lot of people have multiple children. And from being in the rental industry and being a property manager, you know, some people want to have a 4 or 5 bedroom house. So these are basically a 6-bedroom apartment. But each of the each has its own living room, separate living room, kitchen, dining room, laundry room, per 6 bedroom, 6 bathrooms on one half of the building, as is the other for the other buildings, and then the 2-bedroom, 2-bath. But they all have their own separate actual apartments.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your question.
Just a comment. What I'm hearing from you though is that you're intended to have long-term rentals as
Mhm.
apartments.
Yep.
So
We
to
want to
me-
do 1-year leases. I like to
Yeah.
do 12 months.
So to me, that's a lot of the difference between classifying it as a crew camp or as an apartment is the intent of how long the leases are going to be. Sounds like it's going to be longer.
We would like at least 12 months if it's over the winter because it's harder to rent out then. Then sometimes we'll do like a 6-month lease just to get us to, you know, March, April, May. But other than that, or an 18-month lease, depending on time of year, because of North Dakota and our winters, nobody wants to move when there's 4 feet of snow outside and it's negative 20 degrees. So, you know, but we do plan on an average over 50% or as much as possible. We want to do a long-term 12-month lease for each tenant if possible.
Thank you, Tori. Any other questions? Any other comments? What are the wishes of the board?
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve the zone change to urban residential and approve a conditional use permit. Do you need 2 separate motions? No, just one.
On this one, just one.
Okay. And approve the conditional use permit for multifamily dwellings as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? The only question that, or the comment that I would make is that, I drive by this very often, is this a better use of the property than just allowing it to deteriorate? Okay, any other comments? Roll call, please.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
No.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
No.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
No.
Dan.
Yes, I believe the motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate it.
Good luck with your project.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Item number 3.
Okay, so this one is LU-0105-25. Michelle Stewart is requesting a variance for a proposed approximately 1 acre lot to remain in the rural residential zoning district. This is located in sublot 1 of Farm Unit 207, being in Section 30, Township 153 North, Range 102 West. This is in Trenton Township, and they are undecided on their recommendation. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision, which will create 2 lots. The parent parcel is approximately 3.58 acres and within the rural residential zoning district. The newly created lots will be approximately 2.94 acres and approximately 0.64 acres. The applicant is also requesting the variance for both lots to remain in the rural residential zoning district. This was previously approved on August 5th of 2025 for a conditional use permit to allow for a second dwelling on the subject property. Since that time, the applicant and owners feel it would be best to subdivide and allow the second home to be on its own designated parcel. According to the applicant, both of the newly created lots will have its own septic tank. Access to the subject property is taken off of 43rd Street Northwest. The minor subdivision will be going through the review process with the lots to be known as MS 25-0055 and MS 25-0056. Recordation of the plat will be contingent on the approval of the variance, not the zone change as it says, sorry.
Any questions for Michelle? Commissioners, any questions at this point?
I was just curious about, don't we have to have at least 1 acre for, septic?
Normally, that is the case with it already having the septic there. I believe the applicant has worked with the health unit to be okayed for.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Open public hearing. Ask the applicant if they have any comments. The applicant here? Anybody? Commissioner Barstead, can you say that loud enough for everybody to hear? I have a comment about a Lebanese guy and drawing property lines, but I'll leave that to your imagination. Anybody from the public wish to speak to this application? Second time, any comments? Third and final time? No comments? Close the public hearing, turn it over to the board. How do you wish to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve with staff comments.
And a second. Brett, did you have the second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
James. James,
Yes.
yes. Barry,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Folks, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break before we get into the next application because we're anticipating it to be much longer than the first three. So we're just going to recess for 5 minutes and then we'll reconvene.
do it at like shows, like the flicker the lights.
Folks, please grab a chair and we'll start up again. Gentlemen, before we start on this next project, I'd like to discuss a couple things with the board. We are anticipating a lot of comments, and we'd like to make sure that our primary goal of giving everybody the opportunity to speak to the issue a chance to do so. So, commissioners, how would you feel about limiting the conversation to a time limit? What would be your wishes? 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 7 minutes? We could start out that way, and if we don't have enough comments, we could open the door. What are your thoughts?
I would like to start with about 5 minutes, be great plenty, I believe.
Rest of the board, what are your thoughts? 5 minutes for each speaker to come forward, other than the main presentation at the start for the public hearing?
Closer to your mic.
How's this one doing?
Hey, there you go.
So I agree with limiting it to 5 minutes. I would also add that if people have the same comments, that they could reference, I agree with so-and-so's comments, or I echo so-and-so's comments, and hopefully that also makes the points.
Okay, any other thoughts? Everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. One other item before I start on that last application. Commissioners, like most of the farmers in the room tonight, I leave some land that is under consideration in this application. So I have a direct conflict of interest in my mind. Would one of you make a motion to allow me to abstain from voting on this project?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Dan.
I will abstain from that vote also. Thank you, commissioners. Okay, Michelle, item number 4.
Okay, item number 4 is a 4-parter. So once we get to that point, we will need a motion on each of the land use applications, but I'm going to present it all as one because it is one project. So this is LU-0099-25, 0100-25, 0101-25, and 0102-25. Homestead Wind LLC is requesting a conditional use permit to construct a wind energy facility, a conditional use permit for a 115 kilovolt transmission line, a variance from the fencing and landscaping requirements, and a variance from the required 1,400-foot setback from existing structures on parcels owned by participating landowners. This is located in sections 25 and 36 of Township 158 North, Range 103 West, sections 10, 13 through 15, 22 through 25, 29 through 34, and 36 of Township 158 North, Range 102 West, sections 19, 30, and 31 of Township 158 North, Range 101 West, sections 1, 12 through 13, and 24 of Township 157 North, Range 103 West, sections 1 through 7, 9 through 23, 25 through 36 of Township 157 North, Range 102 West, section 6 of Township 157 North, Range 101 West, and sections 1 and 2 of Township 156 North, Range 103 West. This is located Climax Township, Good Luck Township, Orthel, Strandall, Bone Trail, Blacktail, and Bull Butte. For township recommendations, Climax Township recommended denial as they felt they did not have enough information to accept it. They did pick up their binder when they dropped off their recommendation. Good Luck Township recommended denial. Orthil Township, we have not received any comment at this time. Strandell Township recommended denial solely due to the close proximity of the proposed operations and maintenance facility to a residential dwelling. Bone Trail Township, we have not received comment at this time on that from them. Blacktail Township did recommend approval. Bull Butte Township recommended denial and would like to see a 1 mile setback from occupied and unoccupied farmsteads. So the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit, LU-0099-25, which would construct a wind energy facility. The facility will consist of up to 67 wind turbines. 81 locations are shown on the project map. Underground 34.5 kilovolt electrical collection lines to interconnect the turbines, underground fiber optic cable, a Met Tower, temporary LiDAR technology, a project substation, and an O&M facility. New gravel access roads will be built and improvements to existing roads will be completed. As per the applicant, they state this project has the capacity of up to 256.5 megawatts with the potential to have up to 255 megawatts of electricity to be delivered to the grid, which is enough to power approximately 104,000 average American homes per year. The applicant also anticipates approximately $1 million in tax revenue each year going to not only the state and county, but also to the Granora School District, Granora Fire and Ambulance Districts, and the townships affected. The applicant is also requesting the conditional use permit, LU-010025, to construct an approximately 850-foot transmission line to interconnect into the project substation. This transmission line will be a 115 kilovolt line. Within the Williams County zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations, Chapter 6-10-8 requires a 6-foot tall chain link or solid wood or masonry fence to be constructed and maintained around the perimeter of the wind energy facility. In Chapter 6-10-9, the ordinance also requires a hedge of at least 4 feet in height to be planted and maintained around the perimeter of the fence to provide a visual screen. The applicant is requesting a variance, LU-0101-25, from the fencing and landscaping standards within the Williams County zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. In Chapter 6-10-10.2 of the Williams County zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations, it states, all turbines shall be set back from existing structures 1,400 feet. A variance for setback may be granted by the Board of County Commissioners upon recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, provided the permittee and affected landowner sign a waiver agreement. The applicant is requesting a variance, LU-0102-25, for the 1,400-foot setback on parcels owned by participating landowners with 2 exceptions. 1, a 1,400-foot setback will be maintained from existing occupied residents, and 2, a 500-foot setback would be maintained from all existing and active above-ground oil and gas wellhead and tank battery locations. In accordance with the ordinance, Homestead Wind has obtained signed waivers from landowners regarding the setback variance and have provided our office with links to those waivers. At the end of the project's useful life, Homestead Wind will decommission the site within 180 days pursuant to the Williams County zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. For decommission, they also must comply with the North Dakota Wind Facility decommissioning guidelines found in the North Dakota Administrative Code, Chapter 69-09-09, unless waived by the Public Service Commission.
Thank you for that long oration, Michelle. Before we open the public hearing, would the applicant like to speak? Please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Matt Eberl with Apex Clean Energy.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the commission, the county staff, and all the residents who have come out to listen to us here tonight. Again, my name is Matt Eberl with Apex Clean Energy. I'm a senior development manager, and we're here tonight to discuss the Homestead Wind Energy Facility. Presenting with me tonight is my colleague Bree Anderson, a senior director of permitting with Apex. We also have several other of our colleagues from Apex with us here. Scott Jansen from development, Anna Hayes and Carson Peterson from public engagement, Sarah Sensabaugh from environmental, and Nate Wilson from construction, who will be able to answer any specific questions related to those areas. Also with us tonight are some project counsel from Frederickson and Byron, Molly Smith and Bridget Duffus. As mentioned, we are here to discuss the conditional use permit for Homestead Wind and the 2 associated variances with it, as well as the conditional use permit for the very short transmission line that is associated with our project. This is a quick background on our company. Apex has been in business for more than 15 years, and we have over 400 employees around the country. We primarily develop, construct, and operate utility scale solar, wind, and storage projects. Apex has developed 36 wind and solar projects that are currently operating in the United States with a capacity of around 9 gigawatts. That's enough power for more than 6 million homes. Most recently, Apex completed construction on the Bowman Wind Project, which is just a few hours south of here in Bowman County, North Dakota. That's a 207 megawatt project that has 75 turbines. Similar to Homestead Wind, Bowman Wind required close coordination with county officials to obtain a conditional use permit, building permits, and a road use agreement before we started construction. Homestead Wind is an up to 256.5 megawatt wind energy facility. We have secured right around 25,000 acres of land necessary to build the facilities associated with this project. And we have done that with 37 individual voluntary agreements with landowners. In the map that you see around you, the darker line indicates our project boundaries. All the dark green parcels are land that is covered under voluntary wind leases. The 4 light green parcels are managed by North Dakota Trust Land, and they are participating in the project. They will sign a separate agreement after our state permitting process. And the 2 light orange parcels are land that's covered under an underground cabling easement, which allows us to connect the northern portion of the project to the rest of the project area. So Apex and Homestead Wind have been in the community for a long time developing this project. We started signing our first agreements and received our first conditional use permit for a Met Tower way back in 2015. Over the next few years, we continued to sign more land, and in 2018, we secured our queue position with the Southwest Power Pool, which is the first step for eventually gaining access to the grid for the project. Between 2018 and 2025, we completed numerous environmental studies within and around the project area. We also completed geotechnical borings to evaluate the subsurface conditions. Earlier this year, we finalized our leasing process, which allowed us to complete our turbine layout and design. This summer, we signed our generator interconnection agreement with SPP and Montreal Williams Electric Cooperative, who own and operate the local transmission system here. That is the final agreement that will eventually allow Homestead Wind to inject the power we generate from our project into the grid. As part of this agreement, Homestead Wind is committed to spending $34 million on upgrades to the local transmission system. Upcoming tasks include completing the county permitting process, which we're doing here tonight with the P&Z hearing, which will be followed by a commissioner's hearing in January. As part of this county permitting process, Homestead Wind will be required to negotiate a road use agreement, which will stipulate all of the tasks that we must follow to do a pre-investigation of the roads before construction, to maintain and repair and upgrade the roads during construction, to do a post-construction evaluation to see what repairs need to be done to bring the roads back to at least as good or better condition than they were, and then do those actual repairs. An important part of that road use agreement is that it must be financially secured so that Homestead Wind can and will pay for all those tasks. We will then enter our state permitting process in 2026. This will involve getting what's called a Certificate of Site Compatibility from the North Dakota Public Services Commission. As part of this process, Homestead Wind will need to have an approved decommissioning plan from the state. This plan will stipulate all of the facilities that must be removed and disposed of whenever the project ceases operation. Similar to the road use agreement, this plan must also have financial security so that Homestead Wind can prove that it can and will pay for all decommissioning costs. After state permitting, we will come back to the county for our building permits. Based on that timeline, we are anticipating starting construction in the spring or early summer of 2027 and concluding construction and going into operations towards the end of 2028. So this project does have a lot of local economic benefits. We had third-party experts generate a tax revenue report for us, and this report estimates that this project will generate more than $35 million in tax revenue over its lifetime. 13.8 million of that is estimated to stay here within the county. And the graph shows, and we've shared this with the commission, how those local taxes are distributed to your local tax entities here in the county. But we did want to highlight the Granada School District receiving approximately $6.3 million over that time, which equates to $1,250 per student per year. And it is important to note that that's the net amount that takes into effect the deduction to state aid from the local revenue source. So other benefits that could come from this project, there will be an increase in local sales tax from during construction to businesses and hotels and shops. It'll produce up to 4 full-time, good-paying jobs for the folks who will operate and maintain this project once it's up and running. And maybe most importantly, it'll contribute over $60 million in direct payments to our most important partners in this project, who are the landowners who signed agreements with us. So now I'd like to introduce my colleague Bree, who will go into more details in the applications themselves. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. It's great to be back here in Williston. I grew up over in Grand Forks and always came out to Williston for an annual hockey tournament growing up. So it feels appropriate to be back here 25 years later on a sub-zero night. As Matt said, my name is Bree Anderson and I'm the Senior Director of Project Permitting here at Apex. So I'm here tonight to summarize our conditional use permit application and the variances that Matt previewed for you, as well as Michelle. In early November, we submitted the materials in this big binder for the Homestead Wind project. These materials addressed 4 items. First, a conditional use permit for the wind energy facility. Associated with the wind energy facility, we're requesting 2 variances. A variance from the fencing and landscaping requirements, and a variance from the setbacks from existing structures on participating parcels. And the 4th item, a conditional use permit for the transmission line that will connect the wind project into the existing transmission system. So I'll walk you through each of those 4 items individually now. Homestead Wind is an up to 256 megawatt wind energy facility. The project includes 81 turbine locations. All 81 turbine locations work for the 2 turbine models we're considering, the Vestas V163 and the GE 154. Importantly, even though we've included 81 turbine locations in our application, no more than 67 locations will be constructed. The rest of the project facilities include access roads to turbines, underground collection lines that bring the power from the turbines to the substation, a meteorological tower, an aircraft detection lighting system, an operations and maintenance building, the project substation, and temporary facilities like laydown yards. So how do we design Homestead Wind? When we design any project, we have to consider several factors, but setbacks might be the most significant constraint, at least in terms of land area. For Homestead Wind, Not only do we need to comply with the Williams County ordinance, but we also have to comply with the Public Service Commission, the PSC's rules. In addition, as I mentioned on the last slide, we're considering 2 turbine models that are just slightly different in size. So where we have setbacks that are based on turbine size, we've used the larger turbine model to create a larger setback distance to ensure that the turbine layout, all 81 turbine locations, work for both turbine models. This is a simple table of the 5 main setback features: non-participating parcels, non-participating residences, participating residences, public roads, and transmission lines. And the setback standards, Williams County and the Public Service Commissions that apply to each. I don't think you need to read each line, but I think what is really important about this graphic are the black circles. Those indicate the larger of the 2 standards and which we've applied to the layout here for Homestead Wind. As an example, if we look at non-participating residences, which are the second line in the table, Williams County requires turbines to be sited at least 1,400 feet. The Public Service Commission requires 3 times tip height, which is just over 1,900 feet for the turbines we're considering. We've sited turbines nearly 1,000 feet more than the larger of these setbacks for non-participating residences. The closest non-participating residence to a turbine is nearly 2,900 feet. And that's intentional. As Matt said, we've been developing this project for a long time, nearly 10 years, and we've heard from this community the importance of siting our turbines away from residences. The way we've sited the project means we've applied both the Williams County and the Public Service Commission standards and exceeded them where we can, while also balancing the interests of our participating landowners who want to have turbines. As you heard from Matt, the Homestead Wind Project consists of nearly 25,000 acres. This is our starting point to layer on the combination of the Williams County and the Public Service Commission setbacks, which look like this. These setback distances are in the Williams County zoning ordinance and the PSC's rules to ensure that turbines are sited a safe distance away from residences, power lines, the traveling public on roads, and non-participating parcels. In addition to setbacks, we've also completed several environmental studies that are discussed in the environmental study report. All 81 turbine locations are sited to avoid impacts to cultural resources, wetlands and water bodies, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service wetland easements, and telecommunications such as microwave beam paths, AM/FM radio, and other systems. Another factor in siting our turbines, in addition to the setbacks and avoiding the environmental features, we also have to ensure that we meet the state's regulations for sound and limitations on shadow flicker. All 81 turbine locations are sited such that turbines do not exceed 45 decibels within 100 feet of an occupied residence or community building, and to limit shadow flicker to 30 hours per year at residences. We've talked about the wind energy facility. Let's talk about the 2 variances we're requesting. The wind energy section of the ordinance has 2 provisions for fencing and landscaping requirements around the perimeter of the wind energy facility. We're requesting a variance from these provisions. All of our landowners have signed a waiver stating that they do not want the fencing and landscaping, as it would remove additional land from their agricultural operations. It's also my understanding that this requirement did not exist for the Lindahl project, and it was not applied to the Aurora project. During our pre-application meeting with county staff in June, they suggested we request a variance from these requirements as the way to address it. And so that's what we've done here. The second variance request is from the existing structure setback. The zoning ordinance provides that turbines shall be set back at least 1,400 feet from existing structures. This variance would only apply to our participating parcels. Just like the other variance, all of our participating landowners have signed a waiver to support the variance request. It's also, again, my understanding that the two operating wind projects in Williams County received this exact same variance. I want to make two distinctions with our variance request here. We will maintain the 1,400-foot setback from participating residences, and we will maintain at least 500 feet from active and existing oil and gas facilities. By doing so, the variance only really applies to structures like sheds and barns and silos on participating land where our landowners want turbines. So in coordination with our participating landowners, we respectfully request approval of these two variances. The fourth item that I want to discuss is the conditional use permit for our transmission line. As you can see on this slide or map, this is a really short transmission line, approximately 850 feet, that connects our project substation to the existing Strandall substation. We're here because wind energy facilities are authorized as conditional uses in the agricultural district in Williams County. Homestead Wind is located in the agricultural district, and all of our turbines are sited to comply with the setbacks established by Williams County and the Public Service Commission. We're requesting two variances associated with the wind project, and our participating landowners support both of them. Lastly, we've cited our transmission line to be as short as possible. We respectfully request approval of the conditional use permit for the wind energy facility, the two variances, and the transmission line. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
I do have a question. The unoccupied dwellings, is there any potential for them to become occupied? And if so, are you putting buffers around that in case that is in the future? Specific to the variance request? Yes, I mean, I just noticed in the maps when I was going through the binder that there was what looked like potentially could be occupied dwellings, but were listed as unoccupied. So has Apex considered if they are potentially to be occupied, are they considered an occupied dwelling, or does that make sense?
I think so. So we have a setback. We're maintaining the 1,400-foot setback from existing residences, which fall into the existing structure setback. We've coordinated with our landowners, and so if something is classified as unoccupied or would fall into the category that we're requesting a variance for, they have already approved that.
Okay.
Or supported that.
Other questions?
I had a question. So that PowerPoint slide with the local economic benefits, that pie chart, those different dollar figures there with the local taxes, what entity provided that information for you? Was that?
Matt can talk about this information.
Yeah, I am not a tax expert. So we hired an outside firm, Frederickson Byron, and they do what's called a tax memo for us. The way that taxes are generated in North Dakota from a wind farm, there's two separate equations, and I can handle those because they're basic. The electrical generation tax, which is based on the amount of megawatt hours or kilowatt hours that would be generated from the facility times a rate. That's one. And the other is the nameplate capacity tax, which is a 255 times a flat rate. So the first one's worth about 16 million. The second one's about 19 million. Then as they break down at the county level, I had shared that spreadsheet just earlier today, because I realized I should have shared that earlier, but it has all the breakdowns for that based on the mill rates for the various different taxing entities here in the county.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, Sherelle?
I just want to request our tech person to come up here and disconnect this malfunctioning speaker here.
Yeah. Is there a switch on it?
No, I can't find the switch and I can't figure out how to turn it off.
I don't know if the audience can hear that, but it's almost like the creak of my chair, and I keep looking back to try to figure out what it is.
I thought you were just confused by me.
So on the unoccupied residents or structures, how close do you plan on getting them?
On our participating parcels, we're maintaining, I'd have to go back and look, but at least a constructability. We're not putting turbines right next to sheds, silos, and barns. And typically what happens, right, these are farmsteads. And so a lot of times they're grouped together and the residence has its own setback already.
Right, but I was just curious on the unoccupied structures, how, so if somebody's got a bin site somewhere, just how close would you site one? Just the requirement for the tip, I suppose, or what?
We've cited them at least with a constructability. I'd have to go back and make sure that see the exact distance, but internally, Apex, we have standards to maintain distances from things in addition to what's required here by Williams County and the Public Service Commission.
Any other questions?
I have another question. I think this is more for Matt, though. I was just curious if you could educate me on the bonding requirements and reclamation authority and who that sits with and what that looks like at the end of life
For the road use agreement,
for the turbines and the pads that they're going to be on.
so for the decommissioning then, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So at the state level, I think I'll actually let our council handle that one.
You thought he better let me since I stood up. So I'm Molly Smith with Frederickson and Byron. The Public Service Commission has decommissioning requirements. There's actually a few years ago, they enacted 2 phases. So before you start construction, you have to provide financial security that is equal to 5% of the cost of constructing the project. That stays in place through construction with the idea that if a project were to stop construction, there would be funds available to the commission to reclamate and remove anything that had been started to be constructed. Then prior to operations, you have to file a decommissioning plan. That plan has to follow and outline the commission's requirements for decommission of the project. And it also has to have a cost estimate, and it has to be prepared by a North Dakota licensed professional engineer. That plan then goes to the Public Service Commission and they approve that plan. As part of that plan, there's a cost estimate. We recently just did 2 for a couple of projects. So in those couple of projects, each outline the amount it would cost to remove all of the facilities that are required to be removed and to reclamate. And then it can talk about salvage value, but salvage value is not taken into consideration by the commission. So it's the full total amount that it would cost without considering salvage. So $270,000, $240,000, somewhere in that range per turbine is usually put down. So then they require financial security that they also have to approve. And that goes in at the same time. Once that is in place, the construction phase is released. And then that stays in place for the life of the project. That plan is then updated at year 10 and then every 5 years thereafter until end of useful life or abandonment. Just to throw it out, that is each year, each operating project has to file an annual operations report with the commission so that they know that they are not below the threshold of having been abandoned, essentially. They have limits. And if they were to fall below that limit for a period of time, they have to come back to the commission, tell them how they're going to either operate or decommission the project.
Mr. Barstead.
So that's a state bond then? I'm gonna call it a bond. That's a state bond, not a
Yeah,
county?
right. It is a state requirement. The PSC also has authority under their statute or rules to enter into property and decommission the project.
So when they figure that in, do they use a, I'm gonna say an inflation rate of 30 years down the road?
It is calculated, but then so the reason they do it at year 10 and then every 5 years thereafter is they can update the amount and they can increase, decrease, whatever needs to happen with the financial security. So basically adjust it to make sure that it's accurate as you get closer to the end of the life of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions?
I had a
James.
few more questions. Regarding the township recommendations, with some were approving, some wanted to deny. So after receiving this packet, have you reached out to Climax, for example? They recommended denial because they felt they didn't have enough information. So did you follow up with them to see if you could answer any of their questions that they had? And then also, another Strandall they recommended denial because of close proximity. Was there any discussion with them regarding that? And the last one was on Bull Butte. They'd like to see a 1 mile setback versus the 1,400 or 1,900 square foot setback. So just want to see if you had any updated information.
Yeah,
on
so related to
communication.
the townships in general, we had reached out to the numbers and the emails that we could find that were listed for the boards. And knowing that most people were busy, we did not have a lot of luck with that. Earlier, I was able to meet with the Strandall Township Board, and they told me earlier concerns that they had. I have not had a chance to reach out again to Climax since we've started this, but we've actively been trying to share our information and see what the concerns and questions are related to the current Strandall County comment regarding our operations and maintenance building. We are not the landowner. We're at somewhat we have to go out in the market and try to find land and buy it. We can't necessarily tell a landowner who owns that land that if he doesn't want to sell us a certain part of the property, he wants us to buy this part where he wants to be constructed on his land. And, that's really up to the individual landowner rights and not so much, we don't have really any control over that.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we open the public hearing? Hearing none. Thank you, Matt. I will open the public hearing. Anybody wish to speak? Let's start with against the project, then we'll go to for the project. We'll go back and forth. Jimmy, please state your name for the record when you get to the microphone, if you would, please.
Jim Borg. And I have a question for them. They keep talking about
Speak into the mic if you
keep talking about participating people in the project. What about the non-participating landowners? How far a setback do they have for those on a farmstead, occupied and unoccupied?
I think she did allude to that. Would you answer the question, please?
I don't think she did on non-participating landowners.
Maps up. You can see it here. There's two setbacks that would apply to a non-participant. The parcel setback, Williams County requires 2.5 rotor times rotor diameter. It's about 1,336 feet. The North Dakota Public Service Commission is 1.1 times tip height. We've applied the larger, so 2.5 rotor diameters from the parcel line. Specific to residences, it goes the opposite way. Williams County requires 1,400 feet. The Public Service Commission requires 3 times tip height, which is just over 1,900 feet. Our closest turbine to a non-participating residence is over 2,800 feet. So we've exceeded that by nearly 1,000 feet. Does that answer your question?
It does. I guess Bull Butte would like to request a mile setback instead of the 1,914 feet on this.
Okay, any questions for Jim? Jim, anything further? You can always come back up.
Okay.
Thank you. Chairman, good evening, members. My name is Dale Haugen. I am the past general manager of Montreal Williams Electric, and I now work for the North Dakota Critical Data House, LLC, which is a proposed data facility going to be located in Williston. I'm here today to express strong support for the proposed Homestead Wind Project. Wind energy provides a stable, long-term source of power that is not subject to the volatility of the energy markets. This stability helps our region to ensure that our area, many of whom are consumers, use power 24/7 uptime. They need the trust in our reliability and cost stability. By sourcing energy from local wind farms, we can meet the sustainability targets while demonstrating that our region is a leader in energy production. That is a good demonstration. Williston is a strong energy region. It strengthens our reputation and attracts investments into our region. Wind farms don't just benefit data centers. They benefit the entire community. They generate tax revenue, as you have seen, that supports local schools and infrastructure. They provide lease payments to the local landowners. As past utility manager, our partnership with wind farms, such as was mentioned, the Lindahl north of Tioga, that they ensure that these benefits are long-term and sustainable. Transmission grid improvements that were discussed this evening, like the one that has been in Montreal Williams is planning long-term for many years, from the Blacktail Dam turnoff to the Grenora Road. Much of this needed network is going to be provided by the wind farm developer. An improvement that you heard cost an approximately $34 million, all to begin to be paid for by this wind developer, not the local co-op members. A payment of 18+ million has already been paid to date for that project. So in closing, and my conclusion is, approving this wind farm is not just about clean energy. It's about economic opportunity, reliability, and positioning our region as a forward-looking hub for technology and development. As a data center representative, I can assure you that the projects like this directly strengthen our ability to attract consumers or customers within our data center while contributing to the prosperity of our community. I urge you to support this project. Thank you. Thank you, Dale.
Committee members. Excuse me here. I'm presenting you with a map I put together.
Will you state your name, please?
Oh, excuse me. I'm Jim Garris from the Gennor area. We'll get back to that. Sorry about that. I don't know if you can see that map from here or if I got to bring it around to you.
Hey, can you tell me what the colors that represent again? Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
Jim, would you talk into your microphone and explain it to the crowd too, please?
Yeah, this is what I kind of showed them. I want to get to it.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Okay, I will now.
You can twist it around. You can turn the microphone around if you'd like.
Okay. Anyway, this map that I'm showing them, I am presenting this map that I put together from the planned wind farm.
There we go.
All right. Okay, the map is made from the 2025 Williams County Plat and Directory is where I got the information from this. I have highlighted in the green area the landowners that did not sign up for this lease. The orange and yellow, and it's yellow because I taped the map together and it wouldn't come out orange, it just went yellow. The landowners that did sign up for it, but don't live on the land year round. The pink are the landowners who signed up and lived on it, on the property. According to the map, my place is on the map, has a wind tower less than 1.5 miles from my house. It's within a 1/2 mile of my tree rows. My brother's land, according to the map, shows that there's 2 wind turbines that will be placed 1/4 mile away from his property. My family has a seizable amount of the land in the middle of the project. And on that land, a farmstead, the next generation of families is looking to build on. According to the map, they have 2 towers within 3/4 and 1.25 miles from the farmstead. If you approve building these turbines on my family, future of living there will be vanished. I ask you, the committee members, would you ever build a place within 2 miles, let alone 3 miles? How close would you want a turbine in your area? And for the people on the map that I presented in the orange and yellow, it doesn't affect them if they don't live there. They are miles away in other parts of the United States. And for the people that signed up and live close, they made the choice. We who live around outside the wind farm don't have that choice. As commissioners, you are the only voice we have. You're the ones that have a say that our property and the value will go down in our living areas. There are health issues to this, also to the ones that live by them, excuse me. There has been a health study that we sent you. As a committee, can you honestly say you would vote for this if it was in your neighborhood? Because you guys are not close to it. I'm living right next door to it. These towers are not 40 feet tall. They're over, 300 feet tall. I'm going to have to put up this every day. These other ones that don't, the majority of, they're not here. They'll never see it. It's just land to them. They'll get the funds off of it, but they don't have to live it.
Okay, Jim,
My generation will have to live
Jim,
it.
I need to stop you there, but if we have more time at the end and you want to come back up, that
Okay,
would
thank
be
you.
fine. Just in the interest of fairness.
Hello, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Ben Schaefer. I'm a landowner within the project. I have also submitted written testimony in support, and so I won't bore you with that. However, I do feel it's necessary to share my unique perspective of the project. Number one, I was a superintendent of a school for 10 years in Ray, North Dakota. So I've been a small town superintendent. I understand fully the economic impacts for the district and for the students and for the taxpayers within. Secondly, I've served on a lot of difficult boards, which this is obviously a difficult decision because there are people on both sides who agree and disagree pretty vehemently, right? So I've been on NDHSAA, Legislative Focus Council. I know these decisions are hard. I appreciate that. I actually grew up in Wilton, North Dakota. And if any of you have ever driven to Bismarck and looked off to your left, there's a big 2-story farmhouse right in the middle of those wind towers. And we were lucky enough that I'm old enough that was before they gave all owners money. Only the people with the towers got money. And we lived right within it as they were building it. And guess what? It was not an issue. It was not a problem. And my brother has built his house there after they were built in testimony compared to what was just heard. And he has also began a feedlot there. And their cattle are supposed to leave the feedlot at 625. He said they're averaging 648. So the health impacts and all those things you're hearing about, I think you need to consider truth as opposed to scare tactic. Secondly, we plan to build a retirement cabin up on our land by Granora because we enjoy it up there and really appreciate the landscape and understand that this will change it. However, I've lived with it. I've lived on our farm and by Wilton prior to the land be having wind towers and after, and the difference was negligible. My brother has lived there again, like I said, for 20 years. So he is on the township board, and he said it's been a positive impact for their roads, for their infrastructure, and for many things within the township. He said, I would not go back to it, and I don't have a wind tower, and I don't get a dime for any of my acreage. He farms there as well as raising cattle. In closing, I would like to say, I know change is hard, right? It's different than it's been for 50 years, and that's hard. It's different. It's a different landscape. That's where so-and-so used to live. I get that. However, we look at the oil and what that's done for the area, and we look at wind and how that can also do the same thing. And I know there are some people who would say, I just wanted to go back to the way it was before oil, but very few. There's a lot of good things that have come out of that for our small towns, our communities, our large cities, and we've all seen impacts. This room right here is a perfect example. We wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for those impacts. And I don't think that we can throw those behind and leave those things unsaid and those opportunities undone. So I would requestfully ask that you vote in support of this project, as it is forward thinking and will definitely benefit Williams County and the townships for a long time to come. Thank you. I'll now stand for any questions.
Any questions for Ben? Thanks, Ben. Thanks for coming forward. Oh, hang on.
You're with the Ray District.
I was.
Oh, okay.
I now work for the Western Education Regional Cooperative.
Okay. So Ray must get off the Lindahl farm.
Yeah, they would get some. Yep.
Okay. Was that quite substantial when you were there, or have you been gone before that?
I wouldn't know with the wind tower. We didn't have wind towers at that time, but it was coming in right at the end. I think we got free office equipment when they were done building. So that was about the economic impact I saw as far as that. But it was right at the end of my tenure there.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Yep. And then I was also going to say, if just because I'm for this project doesn't mean we have to dislike each other. If you're at the Centennial, I'll still buy a Coke. So, thank you.
Any other questions for Ben before he sneaks away? Okay, thanks, Ben.
My name is Darren Grievel, and my wife and I are currently putting a place about 1.5 miles north of where some of these towers are being put up. And the reason we're going out there is she has an underlying health issue with tinnitus. And when we get to the farm, within 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours, her ears quit ringing. So it's kind of a health issue why we're moving out there. And the way we have our house set up is we'll be looking right at them towers. And that is not why we built our house there. We've I'm not a wealthy guy. I've put a substantial amount of money into this and my time. And I don't believe I would appreciate having something to have to look out my windows and see this. I drive truck
in Williams County all over, I see these lights flashing and everything, and I'm not real fond of them. I thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Cal Storseth, and I'm part of the Apex Wind Project. And first of all, I would hope that whatever vote is held tonight, that we're all going to go on with our lives, whatever happens. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, Bob Arnson is still going to be my best friend. I want to put that on the record. Apex approached me several years ago about tying into Montreal Williams substation, which is on my property. Several years ago, Montreal Williams contacted me and asked me if I'd sell them some land to put in a substation. I said, absolutely. I did it. No complaints. Planning and zoning approved it, right? A couple years later, Rural Water called me and said, hey, would you sell us some land so we can put a tank on your land so we can provide water for the rural people? And I said, absolutely, let's do it. Apex calls me and says, hey, can we put a substation out there and tie into your property? And I thought about it for a while and I said, sure, why not? Why wouldn't I allow that? I allowed these two other things. There was no complaints. I didn't get any calls from any of the neighbors that said, hey man, thanks for doing that. But I did it for the people that live in the area. And I think it's beneficial to the people that live there. It took me probably a year before I made the decision. I said, I'll sell you some land, but I'm not sure about, turbines and wind projects. And we got 4 adult children, and I talked to all of them, and I said, here's the deal, Dad, why wouldn't you do it? I've got a young renter. I've raised my rent one time, cash rent, since 2012, and I raised it $5 an acre. If this goes through, I don't have to raise my rent. I want to keep my rent low. We need young farmers to make it. But this will help us and my wife in our retirement in long term, and it's a beneficial impact. And I think what I've done in the past by helping the local people out there, I would hope that the county commissioner, these commissioners would look at that and say, hey, why wouldn't we do this? This is wind. This is electricity. We need it in the grid. People want this electricity. There's companies out there that are going to do business in this area, and they're going to say, you know what? How much do you get from wind? Maybe you don't like it or not, but we have to, this is North Dakota. We got to have other, ways of generating electricity for the community and for the grid. And finally, it's going to help my wife and I in our retirement, and I'll share a small story. It's going to be really difficult. It's true. You can look it up. We've got 2 grandchildren we've been blessed with, and one of our granddaughter has muscular dystrophy. She's had it since she was born. A year ago, she had a surgery. Her spine was growing into her lung. She had to have a rod put in her back. It's difficult. Anybody that's got grandkids knows this. I'd take a heart attack today to make her healthy. Our grandson has got an autoimmune disease. He doesn't have any hair. Guess what? We have 2 grandkids. We love them more than anything in the world. So our plan is the money that we get from wind, when the kids get to be older, and maybe my granddaughter can't take care of herself, our plan is to put this in a living trust to give to our granddaughter so she can have income, because she's probably not going to be able to work. 2 years ago, she was granted her Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is for critically ill children, which is it's the worst thing in the world to go through that. Everybody has grandkids, you have children. When something happens to them, it's horrible. So what I'm saying is, this money we're not greedy. Any of the people in this room, we're doing it because of the economics part of it, to make money for ourselves. Our land is worth so much. My return on my investment right now for my land, for what I get in cash rent, it doesn't work out. And I want to be able to provide this for our grandkids and our kids so we can keep this farm in our family. It's been in our family since 1914. I just got the centennial paperwork back. I don't want to sell it. I want to keep it. I want to have a place to hunt, and I want to maintain low cash rent for my renter. And you can, I don't raise the rent. I want to have young farmers to make it. So again, I would highly recommend to the commission that you approve this project. It's going to be a great economic benefit for the landowners. It's going to be great tax base, $35 million for the community. And they're paying for this transmission line, this $34 million transmission line that's going to tie into that substation on the Ganora Road. And they're paying 100% of that cost. I don't know what happens if this project gets declined. I don't know what Apex does. That's probably a question for them. You know, who's going to pick up that tab? Because Montreal Williams wants that transmission line. And I'm pretty sure that Basin Electric, who's building this substation, probably wants that transmission line also.
Caleb, we're going to stop you right there. Thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, committee. I'm Floyd Miller from northwest of Williston. I have land in the project up north. I may have a tower. I'm going to speak in favor. I feel for it. I feel sorry for the ones that live there. I just want to let them know I live by a gas plant, and I get to see smoke coming out of Basin Electric now towers. I would rather look at a wind tower or more right outside my door. I don't care. I just took a trip around the state to some meetings. I went into Red River Valley. I'd like to live there. Look at alongside interstate, them double highline metal poles that go all the way from Grand Forks to Fargo that a lot more residents have to look at. And I came from Bismarck to Mina. Go by the coal plant there. It wasn't that windy of a day, and the smoke was coming out of that, and it was so dark it shaded the sun because the sun was still shining. So I speak in favor of it. I think it's a very good thing, and we need electricity. Just wait till sometime your power goes out and you wish you had it. So again, I ask for your vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Floyd. Someone else?
Hello, I'm Tim Defoe, Vice President of the Blacktail Association. Coming here, I guess, basically concerning Blacktail Dam. We got 114 lots, roughly, of people that some live there year-round, some seasonal. It's a recreation, a place where we all go to. We got geese that live there. We got wildlife. Our biggest concern is they're going to be west. This wind farm will be west of Blacktail. Our wind is usually out of the northwest. Are we going to hear them? I mean, you know what I mean? Is it getting close? I mean, hopefully they respect our establishment there. So I'm not exactly sure how far away Blacktail is from, it looks like by the map. When I looked it up, it looked like 1.6 miles, but from the map up there, it looks like the closest is about 2 miles. So I guess just we're in vote of nay on this as info.
Anything further?
Yeah, any thoughts from you guys?
Any questions for the speaker?
Can we ask the applicant to address the noise concern that was raised?
Please. Thank you.
Am I right that Blacktail is the green area on the map in section 9? Matt behind me tells me it's 2.6 miles to the nearest turbine to Blacktail. Sound dissipates from turbines to background sound levels in much less distance than that, even a half a mile, right? We've cited our turbines again to meet the state standard, which is 45 decibels within 100 feet of an occupied residence. At over 2 miles away, they're not going to hear this. The sound just from the turbines just doesn't travel that far.
Thank you. Someone else? Anyone else?
My name is Tony Holichek. I'm here in capacity of school superintendent for Gennaro Schools, speaking in favor. If one looks into the future, based on long-term projection, the revenue generated from this project has the potential to aid in the education of a great number of future and current enrollees. If one figures that enrollments turn over every 12 years, the estimated allocation over the life of the project would not only be helping today's current school students beginning in 2028, but would also assist in the educations of students that are not currently born. What is the significance of the revenue to the school district? The Grenora School District is currently examining the prospect of roof replacement. Transportation needs will continue to place a large burden on the district, as nearly 70% of our population is rural, and our special education department is experiencing a boom in need, just to name a few items that currently exist. Throughout the life of the project, additional school needs will undoubtedly come to pass, and when they do, there will be a price tag. Two other factors loom large in my mind, the first being a decrease in enrollment over the past few years. The Grenora School District at its most peak recently housed nearly 190 students. As we sit here today, we have 155 students, K-12. Our declining enrollment restricts the amount of overall state funding we receive. Secondly, we're experiencing, much like other districts, a period whereby recruitment and retention of professionals to our area is becoming far more difficult. This project has the potential to play a large role in the near future and distant future of the Grenora School. We will need to continue to keep a roof over our head, transportation purchasing at the forefront, and continue to work to recruit and retain the best professional staff for our students. In doing so, we'll continue to make Grenora a great place to raise youth and allow our community to thrive in years to come. As with most rural cities, the school is the lifeblood of our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Someone else?
Hello, my name is Stacy Defoe. Sorry about my voice. I have a terrible cold. Anyway, I'd like to start with the environmental concerns, studies. Studies have been done. Has anybody seen those studies? Have they been provided? Will they be provided? Environmental Species Act, eagles, whooping cranes, ducks, geese, pelican. Have any mitigations been put in place for any of these potential impacts to any of the wildlife species, I guess?
Matt, would you like to answer that? I know that it's in your 47-pound 3-ring binder somewhere.
I would love to answer that. My name is Sarah Sensabaugh. I am a senior environmental manager at Apex, and so we have actually done a lot of environmental studies. Like Matt and Bree mentioned, we've probably been doing them for 3 or 4 years. We've done 2 years of avian use surveys, and so that's a survey where on a monthly basis, biologists go out and they survey 30% of the entire project area looking for avian species. We've also done raptor nest surveys where we've had flights. That's 2 years of that, so we look for raptor nest surveys. We have no eagle nests within the project area, which is great. So we've also looked at whooping cranes. The North Dakota Game and Fish Department actually asked us to take a closer look at that because we are within the migration corridor. We hired a consultant to do a study for that. They used 2 different models to look at that. Our project area does not have a lot of great wetlands where whooping cranes would like to stop over and eat. It's 0.4% of the entire acreage that has wetlands on it. So the study told us that what we already knew, there's not a lot of wetlands there for them to stop over. So as you get further outside of the project area, then you do get better whooping cranes. So we are not expecting to see whooping cranes in our project area. I also want to point out that there have been no fatalities from wind turbines to whooping cranes. And also we work with the North Dakota Department of Game and Fish. We've met with them several times. So we have provided our studies results to them. We have more that'll be coming. We are developing a bird and bat conservation strategy, which we will give to the Game and Fish Department, and they'll look over that prior to our PSC application. So we've done quite a bit of work.
Thank you. Is that information going to be available to the public?
It's available through the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. That's who we provide our information to. They're your state folks. You're welcome to call them up and talk to them about it.
Okay, perfect. I guess my other main concern is just Blacktail Dam, wildlife management area. I feel like this it's getting too close. You let this come through, what comes next? It doesn't stop. We've seen it all over with oil and gas. You let one line come through, one pipeline, one oil well. Before you know it, the landscape is covered. We like our peace, our quiet. We like the calmness of the area. I would vote no for this project. My other big concern, safety issues. When these wind turbines are coming in, we've all been on the road out towards Blacktail. It's not a wide road. I'm really concerned for the safety of the general public, of anyone living or heading to Blacktail Dam. That's all I have.
Thank you for those
Thank
good
you.
comments. Next, please come up.
Mike Berg, Bowenshell Township. 4 generations have 5. We need to quit putting things off that aren't going to only help us, but other people, our young people. This putting the crimping things doesn't help us any. We got to go forward with things and let them be what they are, so the next generations can have power and energy and education. I hate to see these schools, these small schools that I have the privilege to go to, just falling apart. Boom, back, crash. We need more stuff here. We got to quit this boom, crash. Yeah, and I look at this project as a plus because it's going to be not up and down. You know, I worked the oil field most of my growing up life. And you have a job now, and you don't know you have one tomorrow. Drill the first, the last hole first. This isn't drilling the last hole first. This is going to be here for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Roger Manger. Currently, I live on a hill. I'm 2 miles north of the Strandall substation. And every morning I go out to shores. I can look 4 miles about to the northwest, and I see a church. And there's an evergreen tree there that between the church steeple and the evergreen, it's hard to tell the difference. What, 40 feet? So in 4 miles, I can see that. Within 3 miles, I'm going to be able to see 10 to 15 turbines. And it's, you know, right now I look to the northeast and I see 3-4 farmsteads, and they're up in that area. You know, I'm not in the area. I'm right on the edge of it. Strandall Township has a mile setback that we put into the board records. I don't know if that has any pertaining to this meeting or not. And the one, they're only putting one tower in our township, and it's about 1 mile north of me. So it's legal. but it's the only one in our township. So I hope they at least, keep the rest of them at a mile setback. Thank you.
Any questions for Roger? Thank you. Oh, did you want to add something?
One more thing. How long is the data center or whatever they call it out at Trenton been there? 3-4 years? Anyway, when they put that in, Montreal Williams, I was at the annual meeting and they said with the power that they're using and the revenues they're generating, we may never have to have a rate increase. We're getting a rate increase come January. So.
Thank you, Roger. Someone else?
Kurt Andre. Of all the participating members, I'm probably the one who's worked with Apex the longest. And they've had to put up with me because I'm a landowner's rights. And they've listened to and worked with us. And I think what I like about this, and I told my grandson this, is that the farm is actually going to produce energy if this passes. And that's kind of a unique feeling, is that we've been consumers all our lives. Now our little farm, and we're not big, can produce a little energy for the county. The other thing is, when are we going to develop enough money for a rural school? And this is a gift for us. I understand that people don't like it. Before I signed on, I went to 4 wind farms. The Tioga one, Rugby. I have a good friend south of Mina. And then I went to the one in Jamestown. All of them said, I've talked to 15 or 20 landowners, they'd all do it again. 5 of them have built new homes within the wind farms. Somebody may not like a tree. Somebody may not like a wind farm or a turbine. How do you balance that? Apex has been easy to work with. They've had to listen to me. We haven't agreed a lot of times. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Anyone else?
Bob Arnson, Strandall Township. I live out along 69th Street, and I'm watching this transmission line being put up as we speak today. And it almost seems to me like this project is going forward without county approval. And I don't understand how somebody can start a project before it's approved. My other question is Apex only putting up a 5% bond for the project? Is the way I understood it. And the other thing, they're applying for 81 wind towers, but they're only putting up 67. So what's happening to the other 14? And Dale Haugen kind of nailed it. It kind of looks to me like Williams County wants to be the model for North Dakota. They want to show the rest of the state how we can produce power. When we're burning flares, excuse me, we're burning flares, gas in the sky every day. We have taken advantage of it on the Pioneer Station, but why aren't we using more of it? We have it right at our fingertips, but no, let's go put a wind tower in. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody have a question for Bob? Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is John Delvo. My wife and I have a farm in Bone Trail.
John, would you try to speak up a little bit, please?
My name is John Delvo. My wife and I have a farm in Bone Trail. The farm has been in the family for about 100 years. And we, we do have, it does benefit us financially. There's no question on it. And I think there's other people that have given talk on the economics. And I do work for MDU, and you see these type of projects come once in a while. And I think you guys are really lucky to have something like that come by. And it will benefit the community as well as us. And I was going to say another thing here. Oh, I know I've heard a lot of talk on, about how they look and make noise. I mean, I thought they gave some interesting, they said, about 49 decibels. Well, average talk is around 60 decibels. So that tells you it's fairly quiet. And our family does come up here every summer. I still work the place to keep it up. Our family uses it for hunting, boating, fishing, all those type of things. And even though I live in Billings, we used to live near an airport, which is only half a mile away. We became acclimated to it. It never bothered us. Our new residence is just south of Laurel, and we do have a refinery that's there, and that doesn't bother me one bit at all. I think this is a good project. I hope you vote for it.
Thank you, sir. Someone else.
Hello, Lane Larson, Strandell Township. I currently reside at the junction of the Blacktail Road and Kenora Road. Definitely am against the overall project. I live closest to the O&M facility that is proposed in the project. It's within about a half mile of us. I've heard discussion earlier today about how I think it was with those apartments that we're trying to keep commercial, and other things that are outside of agricultural in a certain area. Obviously, this is a big project with the wind towers themselves, but the facility itself, although there's going to be about 4 people working out of it, it's still a kind of a commercial entity in the sense of vehicles in and out. So that's a little bit of my concern. I've discussed with Matt individually as well about some of it. He has said they're going to try to mitigate certain items like lighting and things like that. But I mean, obviously, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Are we going to put a commercial facility? Does it change hands? Do they sell it after a certain period of time? The farm itself to utility or a different company, and at that point, you're going to be good neighbors like they are. Don't know. So it's definitely a concern that it's that close. We would prefer to be, maybe a mile away on the same residence land. There's a parcel there. Obviously, Cal spoke to what he was comfortable with, where he wanted it, but it's kind of a little bit on the hill. We'll be able to see it from our place. We do have trees that does help, but it's definitely a factor that does affect us potentially. So that is one item I wanted to note. I did want to kind of comment on some of the medical stuff, just high level. I think somebody denoted a scare tactic. I don't think it's a scare tactic. I think there are studies out there. I don't think the data has been flushed enough to say one way or another, but I disagree. It's a scare tactic. I just don't think there's enough information out there to say one way or another. But there are effects. Now, whether it's personal or mental versus actual physical, I don't know. But I don't think it's fair to say it's a scare tactic. Does it benefit? Oh, my apologies. Thank you. Many that support the project are not taking into account that those that actually have to live with it, in our backyards, those that see it, there's been commentary how they don't, some people it doesn't bother them, so on and so forth. But for others, such as myself that live out there, we enjoy the peacefulness, we enjoy seeing the openness. That tall item is, a visual effect that is, burdensome to some. Myself being one of them. When I drive down to Bismarck, I see those wind towers. They're not something I enjoy to see. It's definitely something I don't particularly enjoy.
in regards to a benefit to all townships. That is not necessarily the case. We've had one in our township, but there's plenty of townships around the area that do not receive the benefit. So it is a benefit to the townships in it, but obviously not to all that are still affected by the overall project. One item also I have concern about is decommissioning. You know, if they sell the project, because in 10 years, all the tax credits will be primarily up for wind towers. What happens then if it does change hands? Is the bond going to follow? Who's going to make sure that if it changes, that it is decommissioned properly? Maybe you guys can speak to that. Thank you. That's all I have.
Folks, I'll apologize for the county. We spent, from the time we started discussion to buy this old MDU building to the time that we did buy it, it was 18 years. Had we known the acoustics were so bad in here, we probably would have went somewhere else. It's the most difficult room to hear it. I don't know what it is. I know the county spent a lot of time trying to improve this. It's just, there's just something that doesn't work in this room for being able to hear people. So please feel free to shout at us when you come up.
I was just going to answer the question about the decommissioning and what if the project were to change hands. So the Public Service Commission requires that if a permit is transferred to another entity, then they have to approve that transfer. That new entity would then have to have decommissioning financial security put in place for the project. So it would be a continuing commitment. So every commitment that is in a permit would be binding on whoever it is that then owns the project.
Thank you. Someone else wish to speak?
Justin Folbeg. I own land in the middle of this project that's not participating. I'm just wondering to ask you, at what point are we going to pull eminent domain for power lines and transmission lines on our land that we haven't, and then get devalued for our land? We'll lose acres for transmission lines and whatever else that has to go through. Like I say, my land's right in the middle of the project and adjoining it quite a bit. Family land. I'd just like to know that. At what point do I get eminent domain for a transmission line? I've dealt with the oil and gas long enough that for pipelines, they just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, the only transmission line associated with the project, as Bree described, is 850 feet from our collector substation to the Strandall substation, and we've already secured the land necessary for that. There's no other transmission lines that are being built by Homestead Wind or by Apex in the area. Those are lines associated with Montreal Williams and other utilities, so it has nothing to do with us. We certainly have nothing to do with eminent domain for any of that.
There'll be no underground lines going through property because we're right along county roads, main county roads.
Underground cabling will be done on.
What's that?
That underground cabling will be done on all private land that's signed to the project.
That's signed to the project. Nothing will have to, as future goes on with progress, if this does go through an expansion, there won't have to need bigger lines, and it's always easier to get from point A to B to go across somebody else's land. If we're not signed up, we're good to go.
I mean, we're permitting a 255 megawatt project. There'll be no expansions to it unless we went through another permitting process.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Good evening. My name is Scott Johnson. I live in Bowen Trail Township, and this has been going, they've been talking about this for many years. So I've been asking questions because I wasn't sure how I felt on it. And I have a friend that runs an elevator down in Dickinson, and he has customers of his that have wind farms on their land. So I asked if it'd be okay if he put me in touch with a few of them, and he called them and asked them. And one of them that said he would talk to me, his name is Marvin Hatzenbiller. He's in the Bismarck area. He has 9 wind turbines on his property. He didn't say how much, but he gets a sizable check. He said it's the biggest mistake he's ever made in his life. He said it's not having to look at them. it's having to listen to them. It's a constant hum and it never goes away. He said it's driving him crazy. A gentleman up here said that 60 decibels is my voice, and their permit is for 40. Well, 60 decibels, my voice, I'll eventually quit talking. You won't have to hear me. Or those turbines don't quit. It's 20, 30, whatever it is, it's constant. And this man, he says, my life is here, my generational family farm, and he wants nothing more than to just leave. I also, my buddy that runs the elevator, we were talking about it again, and he said, there's a project, I believe, in the Gladstone area, and they were split. Half the community wanted it, half of them didn't. He said, good or bad, whatever. He said, I know one thing. It tore that community apart. He said, there's people that used to have coffee together twice a week, and now they want to run each other off the road with their pickups. They won't even talk to each other anymore. It divided them. Most of the people, or the majority of them that are against this, live out there. Very few of the people that are for it actually live within, let's say, even 5 miles of any of the towers proposed. There are a few, but it isn't the majority. The majority of the people that live out there are against it. And I do want to say one thing, because I thought it was kind of tacky. The one guy that's probably going to benefit more than a lot of people came up here and says, help me get my retirement. Help me. Your vote tonight, I can retire. That's not your responsibility. That's not our responsibility. That's his. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else?
Hello, Chip. Is that good? Everybody hear me? I got a loud voice anyway. Good evening. My name is Ryan Wade, live in Good Luck Township. We voted to deny the 2 permits and 2 variances. And I'm going to touch on a couple points. Why? I'm going to expand on some of the points that have been made. Please give me like 6.5 minutes, maybe. I know it's asking a lot. Like some of these guys have talked, a lot of the people that are for this do not live in the area. As a matter of fact, there were 252 letters sent out to landowners. You can get it from the planning and zoning folks. They've been excellent. Thank you, Michelle and Cameron. But out of those 252 addresses to landowners, 6 of those addresses have signed up, either within or around this project. That's 2%. 2% of the people that either live in or around that project are for it. Think about that. I'm going to touch on the ag side. These turbines, when they are in use and they are spinning, they create a lot of turbulence downwind. If you're a farmer, and there's a lot of them in the audience tonight, sometimes farming is a matter of timing. As a matter of fact, it mostly is timing. If you can't get in the field, if it's rainy, if you're got a breakdown, whatever, it's really handy to have somebody aerial applicate on your ground. Downwind of these turbines, when they're spinning, up to 3 miles, which is really pushing it, but up to 1 mile downwind of these turbines, it's so turbulent you can't aerial applicate. Also not good. One other thing I want to touch on is this is in the hold on 1 second, sorry. This is in North Dakota Century Code. It is under chapter 17-4-7, wind energy facility liens. So up there in the Strandall project, there was a lien placed on land, on private land by a contractor. If I own private land and somebody that is doing the work on that land is able to place a lien on my land, that's a big problem. And there was a lawsuit, it got resolved. So the legislature said, we can't have that. So at the very bottom, they made another juncture here. And it basically says anything associated with this project, underground utilities, lease roads, power lines, whatever it may be, can still have a lien placed on it, even though it's on your private land. That's pretty unsettling to me. That somebody could place a lien on an underground power line that runs through my private property. If I want to have something done on that land and then somebody comes in and sees that there is a lien on facilities on my property, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to get pretty shocked. They're probably not going to go for that. And the last thing I want to touch on is for all of these folks who don't live up in our area that are for this project, I would encourage them to put that windmill in their backyard. If they want it so bad, you do it. We live up there for a reason. We don't want to look at them. I would encourage you to vote no on the 2 permits and the 2 variances. That was all I have for you.
Ryan, you had 30 seconds left.
And everyone could hear me, so I feel good about that.
Thank you for the comments. Greg, please state your name for the record, please.
Greg Cordy. We farm in Bone Trail and Good Luck Township. And man, you guys got a tough job here. I mean, you got the way a lot of people that do not want to look at a wind tower and people who have personal property rights within the project. And you got to weigh, if you're going to take away $1 million of taxation from this county, 200,000 to schools and 80,000 to an ambulance, tough decision. You know, I don't live out there, but me and my family, we operate the farm that we own up there. And so we're going to be around them. We're going to be impacted them. A couple of things that were said. I know at least 3 people in this project that are attorneys that I don't think they're going to be too worried about the lien situation. I don't think that's really a worry for you. That would be me as a landowner. That would be my worry. We're spraying. We farmed for 40 years. Our son does most of our spraying. We very rarely use an airplane. Very rarely. I mean, maybe not even 1% of the time that we use an airplane. So I don't think those things are really pertinent to this thing. Your decision is really how do you work with the people that have to live with them versus the people that who can benefit from them. You know, I think it's kind of unfair when somebody says, you know, Cal stood up here and poured his heart. Cal Scores. He's doing that for his grandkids. So to kind of demean him for trying to recoup some money from this thing, I don't think it's very fair to him. The other thing is sometimes the township boards meet and say, this is what the township wants, okay? I have land in Bone Trail, which did not make any statement regarding it, but Good Luck was pretty proactive saying they were not for the project. I asked, I must have missed some kind of public, something in the paper saying there was going to be a meeting so that I should have attended. It would have been my mistake if there was some kind of notice and I didn't attend. So I asked the clerk twice if they could just show me a copy of your notice of the meeting. So, because I know at least 3 people that have property in that township that maybe would have gone to that board meeting to reflect some other views of what the project's going to do. So I don't think always when you hear the township voted unanimously against it, I don't know if every township followed some kind of notification rules so that we were allowed to come and at least voice our opinion. So on those things, I think sometimes those township board things aren't really reflective of the whole township. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Scott Johnson, Montreal Township. Once again, I'll just address that. Just because Mr. Corney doesn't only hires an airplane 1% of the time, that doesn't represent the rest of the farmers in that community. There's some people that might get the airplanes to spray their crops 90% of the time. Who knows? He should don't take that as he's speaking for all the farmers out there. And I had one other thing I wanted to ask, because I don't know if I heard it correctly or not. Like, sorry, I don't really remember your name, but did you say that there isn't any eagles that nest in this area?
So I said there are no eagle nests within the project area or within 2 miles of the project area, and we've flown it twice.
That's absurd. There's eagles all over out there.
There are eagles that come through, but there are no nests out there.
I will disagree with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else wish to speak? Bob, we have a young lady coming up behind you, so we'll let her go first. Try to let the people who haven't spoke at all speak first, and then if we have extra time left, we'll come back to anybody else that wants to speak.
Thank you. My name is Amy Folvig, and we live on a farm south of Grenora there. And my question actually is more having to do with Mason Moe earlier when he was line item 1 up here. And he had requested a conditional use permit to park trucks on his property. And at that time, I think it was said, yeah, you can. But then they said, but a neighbor complained, so we have to go down a different road now. And that was what was said earlier here. So I'm just wondering, does it make a difference because there's not weekend retreats and shirts and, you know, where do our voices come in to that neighbor that didn't want that in his neighborhood? So I just asked for not dollar signs, because if I won the lottery, the $1 billion, everybody back there would all of a sudden not be wind turbine people. So we shouldn't pretend that that's what they're for. They wouldn't want it either. So I just want to make sure that we're treating every line equally, not just money and not just money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Ernstson. I was wondering if Apex settled their lawsuit in Oklahoma with a aerial sprayer. That's all I got.
Okay. Any comments for that?
I have no idea what that's in reference to.
Say that again, would you, Matt, please?
I said I have no idea what that's in reference to. There's a lot of things on the internet, but I'm personally not aware of that.
Okay. Anyone else? Anybody else wish to speak?
Good evening. My name is John McMaster. Before I start my 5-minute talk, I noticed on your agenda, my family's land is the last description at the bottom of the page. And it says sections 1 and 2 of 156-103. That's in error. It should be sections 2 and 3. I wonder if that can be corrected for the record. I don't know who made the mistake.
I'm sure that it could. It's just probably just a clerical error. Staff is making notes, John.
I'm here to speak on behalf of McMaster Family Farms West Partnership. We own 1,200 acres on the north side of Bull Butte Township, 1,000 acres of which are in this this wind project area. My background has been in real estate. I practiced law here in Williston for 41 years. I was involved with Williams County Abstract for 40 years.
I was a city attorney for the city of Williston for 6 years back in the late 70s, early 80s. I was an ex officio member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, so I can sympathize with all of your duties and decisions that you need to make. And I remember the toughest ones were always the conditional use plans and variances. So that's what we're dealing with. But I've narrowed this down in my own language to, can we mix agricultural land and energy production land? Can we mix those together? I look at land as a pie. You can say you own a piece of land, you own the whole pie. Well, you don't actually own the whole pie anymore. There's lots of slices taken out of it. There's government regulations, taxes, easements. What if somebody else owns the mineral acres or has leased your mineral acres? And so when I say I should be able to do whatever we want to do with our farmland, that's not necessarily 100% true, because we have to get your permission on a project like this. And so 2 years ago, Apex Wind, or Homestead Wind, approached our family with the idea that we have a natural force out there. It was demonstrated last night. It's called wind. And when that is harnessed properly, it can produce tremendous power and energy. So we signed easements and leases to blend this farming operation that we have. We do not farm it ourselves. We rent it out. But we're going to try to blend that with oil production and wind production. We need your approval to proceed. Now, on your website, people can see all of the requirements for the conditional use permits, all of the requirements for variances. As far as I know, Homestead Wind has gone through that whole checklist. They have complied with whatever's been required. They've met with the Public Service Commission people. They've met with the Water Resources Board. One thing that puzzles me, our township, Bull Butte, comes up with an objection that they want a 1 mile setback. They don't have zoning in that township. And how did they pass a requirement like that? Was it just at a vote at a regular meeting that none of us landowners knew about? I think their objection should be thrown out. The county ordinance provides for a 1,400-foot setback. One point I wanted to make, because somebody back there said, well, gee, why did you have Ryan Geltel write a letter from the McMaster Geltel Seaward law firm promoting the project? Why didn't you sign that letter? Well, I have nothing to do with that law firm. I've been retired for 10 years. So I'm here on my own behalf for the partnership that we have in our family. Just wanted to clarify that.
John, we've hit the 5 minutes.
My 5 minutes is up? Okay.
It's amazing how fast that goes.
It does go by in a hurry.
If we have time at the end, we'll take
You're
any
letting
comments
Mr.
we have.
Arnson come up here a second time when you just told him people can't come up a second time until
He was the only one coming up. But
Wow.
at the end, we will.
Okay.
We will.
I'll just
allow anybody
summarize
else to
everything.
speak.
It takes a project like this to harness all this wind and convert it to electricity. And I sent an email with a lot of positive reasons why we need this project. The company has complied with all the requirements. You've got all these landowners who want to use this land for this purpose, and it's going to be a mixed purpose. But we need your approval. It's in the form of 2 conditional use permits and 2 variances. So I'm asking you, please vote yes in favor of all these applications. Appreciate it.
Any questions for John? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else that hasn't spoken already? Let's make sure that every voice is heard.
Hi, my name is Mike Kiefler, Good Luck Township. I am a non-participating landowner. I'm amongst the 98% that doesn't want to listen to them things hum all damn day.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Dan Beadle. I have a residence up in Good Luck. With any luck,
Please shout right into the mic if you
sorry about that. I have a residence up in Good Luck. With any luck, be living out there full time this summer. So, for anyone who's been up in that area, it's magic. It really is. But I'll make this really quick. I just want to reiterate concerns about sound levels. If I remember right, when they were up here speaking, they mentioned that it is around 45 decibels within 100 feet of residences. Correct? Okay. Doesn't sound bad, right? It's roughly the level of a running refrigerator. Not bad until it's nonstop. And every time you go outside, you have a refrigerator running next to your head. So that's all I wanted to add. So that's my concern. It seems to be a concern of a few others. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brock Hansen. I'm a farmer in Bone Trail in Granora area. I'm married with 4 kids. My wife is a Granora native. Her family still resides in Granora. We have a niece who will be starting school in Granora. My family and I are strongly in support of the development and continued use of wind energy towers in the community. Wind projects bring economic advantages to our area, including lease payments to landowners, increased tax revenue for the county and schools, as well as continued agriculture use of the land while providing stable, long-term source of supplemental income for farming and ranching families, which can be extremely valuable in uncertain economic and weather conditions. In rural areas like these services do not survive without steady support. This is a great way to invest in the future of the area without raising taxes on our neighbors. I understand concern regarding wind towers, especially when it comes to the noise and changing the landscape. These concerns deserve to be heard. At the same time, I believe the benefits to our community, especially Granora, are significant and long-lasting. The tax revenue would directly support the school and ambulance service in Granora, services everyone in the area relies on every single day. Stable funding means better equipment, better staffing, faster emergency response times, which have a major impact on saving lives. When schools are well funded, families are more likely to stay. Those hardworking teachers are easier to retain, keeping the community strong. The money generated here stays here without raising property taxes on residents. Education and emergency care touches every single family in the area in some way or another. Regarding the noise concern, modern wind turbines are significantly quieter than older models, comparable to the wind itself, farm equipment, or household appliances running indoors. Strict state and county regulations already exist to limit noise and protect nearby residents, and these projects must be in compliance with those regulations. For my family, supporting our schools and ambulances matter more than the discomfort of change. Thank you for considering my perspective and for your service to our community. I respectfully encourage you to support wind energy projects and policies that allow our area to benefit from this important resource. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? While you're thinking about that, Cameron Heimer is our Director of Development Services in Williams County, and the trays of cinnamon rolls in the back of the room were prepared by his wife. And we don't want to hurt her feelings by sending full trays back. So please feel free to help yourselves. They are delicious. I'm halfway through mine. Anybody else wish to speak for or against the project? Anybody who has previously spoken that would like to get back up? Jim, please.
Yeah, Jim or John McMaster, he could come to our meetings anytime he wants, and we've included a copy of our minutes along with our denial.
Jim, just a quick question. Do you have to post notice for your meetings?
We call the county auditor, and she puts it on the Williams County website.
Okay.
That's all they have to do is follow the website, and they can tell when our meetings are.
No, it's no longer required to publish in the newspaper.
I don't know.
It's becoming a problem when the newspaper is published sporadically.
We haven't had mail for 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. We haven't had no mail. 2 papers we missed now. So what good does the paper do?
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Well, that's a good point to make. Would you make that point? Please. Into the microphone.
A copy of the website. We keep looking for these notices. We can't find them anywhere.
Anyone else? Anybody else want to add to their comments? Jim, please.
Yeah, Jim Gers again. Anyway, it's just 2 comments that come out just here, Lord. The one said, well, look how much energy was produced last night, the wind we got up here. My question is, was any of those towers running when they hit that 60 mile an hour? The other question was, oh, it's only 45 decibels. You'll never hear that 2 miles away. On the right mornings, I can hear my neighbors 2 miles away, and he doesn't talk 45 decibels. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Jim. Further comments? Any further comments? There's only so many adjectives you can use to ask for further comments. Anybody else wish to speak to this important issue? I'll give you a little bit more time to look at your notes that you're making while I look at mine, but I did want to mention that this will be before the county commission. Michelle or Cameron, when will that day be? They have the final approval or disapproval, as the case could be.
Yep, it's going to be, I believe, January 6th. It's that first Tuesday after the new year.
At 8 o'clock?
8 a.m. right here in the same room.
Barry, do you still do planning and zoning first, or how do you do it?
No,
I believe they do the consent agenda, and then they have like an open, if you're here for something other than the items on the agenda, you can come and talk to them. And then it's normally right into planning and zoning.
Okay. So January 6th.
I believe so, yes.
Thank you. Anybody else? One more time. Anybody else wish to speak? Third and final time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming tonight. There's been a lot of good discussion here, and either for or against, we all appreciate that you took the time, and we're thankful that the weather made it possible for you to get here tonight. So I'm going to close the public hearing and turn it over to the board. Thank you again. Commissioners, what are your wishes? What are your thoughts?
How do we want to go about it? You want to do the variances separate or the?
Yeah, we have to do a motion for each one of the items, so you'd have to do a separate one for all 4. So however you guys want to go about.
It's been 2 hours since you explained those. Why don't you do it again? Tell us the procedure that you want us to follow as the board moves ahead.
Yep, just a separate motion for either approval or denial per land use application. And each one will have a roll call vote for that as well.
I decline to answer on advice of counsel.
They will have to go in front of the Public Service Commission, and then I believe they do their own processes as well, where they notify people and then potentially have a hearing here in town as well for that. I know in past projects like with Saralon, they had like an 8 to 10 hour meeting here in town and presented their project. So I would assume that this would be very much the same.
Michelle. I know everybody's looking at their notes. We need a motion before we can discuss anything further. So whenever someone's ready.
Well, I'll start it out then. I'll make a motion to approve LU 0099-25 with staff comment.
I'll second.
Thank you. Further discussion.
I guess one of the things I keep going back to is we went through all this with the Lindell farm. Some of the new commissioners weren't involved in that one. We had a hearing that went this way, 50-50 all the way. They came in 18 months later to expand it, and we thought we were going to get hammered by people that didn't like it. I don't think we had one negative comment. The landowners, everybody around it, couldn't talk better about it, how they helped build the roads up, they take care of the land, they done everything they said they're gonna do plus. I'm hoping these people are gonna do the same to where everybody's gonna benefit from it, so that's what I'm kind of basing my stuff on. I said the Lindell farm is an example, I believe.
Any other comments? Third time. Roll call, please.
George,
Yes.
James,
No.
Barry,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Please let the record show that I abstained. Next motion. What are your thoughts? What are your wishes?
Make a motion to approve LU 0100-25 with staff comments.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Any other comments? Any other members of the board, last final time, want to speak to this motion? Roll call vote.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
No.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Dan.
Abstain. How did we come out? Motion carried. Thank you. Michelle, what's left?
Now we have LU dash 01012 dash 25. That one is going to be the setback variance.
Commissioners, what are your thoughts? What are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve LU 101-25 with staff comments.
We have a motion to approve with staff comments. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion?
And this is going to be only for the participants that agree to, just because they're participating doesn't mean that they still can't make you be farther away, right? I mean, you know what you understand what I'm trying to say? Just because you're part of the project doesn't mean that if they don't want a change in the variance, you have to still subscribe to the 1900, correct?
Correct. Yep. So then, like that exception number 1, from existing, or they talk about, they have to have that signed waiver as well. So the setback is for participating members who have the signed waiver.
Any other comments? Third and final time. Roll call, please.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
No.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Dan.
Abstain. Motion carried.
So the last one we have then is for LU dash 0102 dash 25, which is the transmission line from the substation to be able to connect in.
What are the wishes of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve LU 0102-25 with staff comment.
And a second.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Any other comments? Last time. Roll call, please.
Brett,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
No.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Dan.
Abstain. Motion carried.
I think you forgot Tori.
Tori.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Not on that item, no.
Date of our next meeting?
Well, we do have one more item though.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the last item tonight is our 2026 Williams County Planning and Zoning meeting schedule. Says presented, I believe you guys should all have a copy of it. We haven't proposed any changes, so still the third Thursday of every month, with it being at 6 p.m. I believe the only thing that might be a little bit different is I believe it is one of the commission meeting in November for approval is on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday because it falls on election day. So the county commission has moved theirs. So we then of course had to move that county commission on our schedule as well.
The calendar is in front of everybody. Is there any questions on the calendar? Can we have a motion to approve it?
I'll
So
move.
moved.
Well, second then.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We have to reorganize as well for the board, for discussion items. Since we are at that point in time in the year, we have to reorganization of the Planning and Zoning Commission. So we have to have a vote on chairman and vice chairman for the upcoming year.
Well, then we will turn over the moderator position to you to take care of that.
Okay. Can we get a vote or a motion, excuse me, for chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board for the next upcoming year?
I motion to appoint Dan Gale for another term.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll turn it back over to you for the vice chairman.
Vice Chair, what are your nominations? What are your thoughts for Vice Chair?
I would make a motion for vice chair for Sherrill. Second.
We have a motion to appoint Sherrill. We have a second. Roll call, please. Excuse me, voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Sherrill. Anything further now?
No.
It's been a long evening. Jim, did you have something you wanted to say after we're done? Go ahead. I'm assuming it's just a thank you.
Oh, our township requested a variance for a 1 mile setback for non-participating landowners for windmills in our township. And that never got voted on.
Mark, would you say that again?
There's one other one we run into that where they said the county trumps township.
Yes, so
when you
the-
go to regulations if there's
Yep.
irregularity. Am I correct with that?
Correct. Our zoning ordinance supersedes townships. They make a recommendation. You guys can follow the recommendation or not. If they were to impose a 1 mile setback, they would have to take over their planning and zoning and do an ordinance. They would have to have regulations. They'd have to have a board just like you guys are appointed. Comprehensive plan. It's quite extensive what they would need to follow to be able to impose those setbacks.
And again, Jim,
That's why
the
I'm
next
here.
step is the county commission, and everybody that feels that they have a strong interest in this should be there, and everyone is welcome there for that meeting. So you could certainly bring it up at that point to the county commission.
So we're requesting a vote from planning and zoning so that we can go to the county commission. You guys have to deny it before we can go to the county commission with it, I think.
In order to make that kind of a change to zoning, what you would have to do is make a proposal for us to change the county zoning regulation.
That's why we're here tonight.
Okay, but we don't do it on a voice recommendation. There's a process to change county zoning. And I mean, you're certainly free to do that and we'd be happy to look at it, but you need to go through the process to propose the change.
Thank you, Sherelle.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Still got 30 minutes less than last year.